Hey folks, welcome back. I'm Alan Parks.
And I'm Mark Larson.
And we are
the Smart Fellers!
Yay! Okay.
Enough of
that. Today we're going to talk about gear. We're going to talk about the gear that we use for Smart Fellers gigs. We have other rigs that we use for other bands that we're in and other setups and other styles of music, but this is what we use for the Smart Fellers. And the Smart Fellers, we generally, we're technically an acoustic jazz group, but we really operate a lot more like a rock band. So we do have amplifiers and pedals and things that we use for our shows. So we're going to give you a rundown of what that is and give you an idea of what we're doing, in the back line. So I guess first things first is...
let's set up.
We got to get set up. That
let's
helps.
do it.
All right, let's go. Okay, here we are. We've got our stuff all set up. We have the pedals up against the amplifiers just for illustrative purposes. Normally, of course, they would be out there in front of us, and you're at the viewpoint vantage of the audience on this video. So this is our typical setup for a typical Smart Fellers gig. There's bigger rigs we can use, there's smaller rigs we can use, but this is pretty typical, and this is pretty much first choice of what we would bring anyhow. So that's Mark's rig all the way over there. This is my stuff over here, and I think we're going to get in depth and take a look at your rig first, Mark. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Cool, man.
Okay, this is my main axe. This is a Godin, 5th Avenue. When I bought this, it was an acoustic guitar. Had none of this on it. In fact, this is not even original. It was plastic, but it only cost $500 for the guitar, which is really great.
Jeez, okay.
So, so my luthier made this out of wood, and he installed this Barbera system, transducer system, and that's each 6 individual pickups in there. Sounds wonderful. And I played it that way for a long time. And then I thought, it should be nice to have a magnetic pickup on this. So I had him install this mini bucker there. And then he added this system here.
And what do those controls do?
Those controls are actually from a bass that he makes, the Messenger bass you might have heard of.
Yep, I'm familiar with it.
And his name is...
John Knudsen.
John Knudsen.
Okay, so what do the knobs do?
Okay, so this is the volume knob. This is the blend, so I can blend the two. And this is the tone. And these are shoe taps.
Because we used to have a steampunk look for the band, and so he steampunked up the guitar.
So I made this myself.
Right. Cool.
Some scrap parts from a scrap metal yard.
Yeah. So tell me, why is that missing right there?
I had problems with the B string being louder than all the rest, and the luthier he kept adjusting it until finally it just like, oh, might as well just take it out.
Okay. Cool. So it's a hybrid piezoelectric pickup and magnetic pickup.
Yeah, and
sounds familiar. That's what my bass is set up to.
In the past year, I started putting electric strings on it. So these are 10s, D'Addario 10s.
Cool, man.
And this is what it sounds like. So cool. Nice growly kind of sound.
Yeah.
Battery.
Lots of punch and everything to it too.
And I've got strap locks and seatbelt strap. I love that strap. So
okay,
yeah.
So
there,
guitar.
So there it comes out this cable right here.
and
it goes
in.
into that wah wah pedal right there, which is an old Crybaby. Actually, that's not my old one. That's newer. It doesn't sound as good as my old one, but my old one kind of crapped out on me. So.
Okay, let's hear it. So how many jazz bands actually use wah-wah on the guitar?
0.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, 1.
All right. So let's keep rolling down your signal chain. What do we got
tuner,
next?
of course, my trusty Boss chromatic tuner.
It's been around the block a couple times.
Yeah. And then I go into this full drive, which it's only set usually right about there, believe it or not, on the overdrive, really low. I use it mainly as just a little extra sustain if I'm playing like a rockabilly tune or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Gives me a little extra, it's not so plinky, you know?
Right. Okay.
So, and I don't ever use the boost for this guitar. This system, this rig can easily get overdriven, and I don't want that. I want a nice, warm sound without a lot of overdrive, or any overdrive, really.
Yeah. Okay.
I use this a lot for solos. Just a little clean boost. Gives me about, 10 dB or so of boost, depending on where I have this set, which usually it's right there about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the simplest pedals around.
Yeah.
Basically, it kicks in a volume knob.
I love this Boosta Grande. In fact, I have two of them.
Yeah.
Remember when my switch broke?
Oh, yeah.
And I found one on Craigslist in Sacramento, so I called Bonnie. I said, "Hey,
yeah, go get
pick this one." Okay. So now I have two. I got this one fixed.
And then it goes to...
Then it goes into the Echo Park, and I use two settings on this. One is, what's it called there?
I don't know. I can't read.
Ducking. I use the ducking. So what happens is it doesn't delay. It doesn't do the echo sound while you're playing the notes, but when you stop playing a note, then the echo kicks in.
Oh,
so what happens? It doesn't muddy up while you're soloing. Right?
Got it.
It only
It's
gives you the after
just the
effect.
delay at yeah.
And then if it's a rockabilly tune, I'll go to some slapback, shorten that, and
right for your typical rockabilly kind of.
And those are really the only two settings I use in this band on that pedal.
Mm-hmm.
I use the Strymon Flint a lot. I love the reverb.
This one here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a reverb unit. Then.
It's reverb and tremolo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It can get really quite nice and rich.
Oh, yeah.
So it does that kind of thing, but it also just does the regular,
Yeah, your meat and potatoes reverb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
and,
pretty good.
I use tremolo from time to time.
Yeah,
And,
that shows up.
It does different types of tremolo, but it's usually pretty subtle when I use it in this band.
Well, yeah, you don't want to get crazy with things like tremolo sometimes.
Yeah. So I used to power this board with a one spot, but it made the Strymon Flint squeal.
Oh, dear.
And it was the exact same pitch that my ears ring at. And so I didn't hear it until a sound man told me about it.
Oh, boy.
Because there's a noise coming out of your amp.
So, but speaking about the one spot then.
So the one spot doesn't power this. It doesn't provide enough amperage.
Oh, okay.
So I decided I need a good power supply. So I went with the Strymon Zuma.
Right.
And I love it.
Yeah. So that makes all your effects work the way you want them to. And...
Yeah, because I have some other boutique pedals besides the Flint that, require the proper...
They're kind of particular.
They are.
Yeah. Cool, man.
So for a good sound.
And then you've got it mounted on that board, which goes into a nice soft case.
Yeah.
So you can schlep it around without banging things up too badly.
It's a Gator, I think.
Does Gator make that?
Yeah, it's a
Gator.
Gator.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And I want to point out, we're not being paid by the people who make these things.
No.
But if they would like to, we'd gladly endorse their stuff.
We would happily do some demos, too.
So we're coming out of the pedal board and going up
We're going into that there 57 reissue, Deluxe Tweed. It just is such a perfect match for this guitar. It just has a beautiful, warm, kind of growl almost.
That's a dry sound in front of it. Okay. So that's reacting off of that magnetic pickup really well as well.
Yeah,
sure,
yeah, it's mostly to that side. It's a little bit of that one. But I'm running into the second input on the instrument channel, which is a lower
gain.
Lower gain, yeah. And I never turn it up past 3. So.
And I appreciate that.
Well. I mean, it can get kind of ugly sounding sometimes. If I turn
we don't need that.
It's not for that style of music. But I mean, with some of my other rigs, I can crank this thing open and it just sounds amazing.
And
all on its own without a pedal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that is about it. Usually there's if we have to bring our own PA, I set it on here and I put my amp in front and tilt it back and lean it against there.
Right.
So that way I can control the PA and my amp. Everything's right there behind me. So, yeah, that's it as far as my rig goes. Okay, so this is the Magnatone I was talking about. This is a 53 Magnatone. I don't know how many watts it is.
3, 2, something.
You know, it might be 5, but it's, you know, for a tiny gig, it's the right amp. It has nice warm tone.
And it's that nice black mother of toilet seat finish.
Isn't it lovely?
I love that amp.
I do too. And then, and I was saying if I need some more clean headroom, I'll bring this along. This is 22 watts of lots of clean. Lots of clean.
Lots of watts of clean.
Yeah, and then I'll bring this along if I really, you know, want some extra oomph. That has a 15 in it. And it's 40 watts.
So there's lots there.
Sounds beautiful. Lots of watts.
Okay, so this is my bass. This is my upright bass. I have 2 of them. This is my workhorse. It's a mid-50s K. It used to be a school instrument. It's got a great big hole in the side from a thrown drumstick. And of course, I had to put the skull and crossbones on it. I'm running a 3 pickup system. Because of the natural inclinations of bass to not want to be amplified. It's an acoustic instrument. So what I've got is, my main pickup is here. I've got a Pierre Joseph's magnetic pickup. I've had it for a long time. As you can see, I've fixed it a billion times. Really nice direct sound. So it sounds a little bit more like an electric bass than an acoustic bass, but it's got a nice direct tone that punches through with other sounds. Now that is going down to here. Now this is a little preamp, and it's a 2-channel preamp. Inside it has tone and gain controls, little tiny screwdriver pots.
And a tube.
And a tube, which is actually an automobile headlamp. So being a 2-channel preamp, this is my magnetic pickup, and this is what we call a clicky pickup, which is mounted against the back of the fingerboard because I play slap style. So that's picking up the slapping rather than just the magnetic. Just magnetic, you know, has it, but then you can pick up a little bit more of that. And the third pickup I'm running is right here. It's a bridge pickup, and this is just a regular old piezo pickup. And that's got its own separate cable that runs out. So there's a cable that runs out of the preamp. There's a cable that runs out of the piezo pickup. And then I've got a cable that's been wire tied together. So it's a double cable, which is a pain in the neck, but in order for me to get the sounds I want. Now, the reason I have the bridge pickup is not necessarily for the sound of the bridge pickup, which I don't care for much and it wants to feed back. It's for when I use a bow, which I do sometimes, but I forgot it today for the video shoot. So Mark doesn't have one laying around. So if I go with just the piezo, it sounds a little brittle sounding. So the magnetic and the clicky warm it up a little bit. So that's where the signal starts on my bass, and then it runs down to my rig. Alrighty, so once again, double cable system. So one of the cables, this one, the blue one, is running my magnetic and my clicky already mixed together, and this is for the piezo pickup, the bridge pickup. So this is just a little active 4-channel mixer. It's got grounding problems. So 1 and 2, leave 2 empty, and then a master. And this is battery powered because it's got a different jack than everything else. And I'm powering everything with a 1-spot, unlike Mark, who has all the cool stuff. So from there, we go into a TU3 tuner, like Mark's on. I think this one's optimized for bass for some reason or another, somehow. I don't know. And I don't really care much either way. Okay, now most of my pedals are toys, really, to be honest. One that gets a lot of use is the POG. It's a polyoctave generator. So it's an octave generator. So in addition to your regular clean signal, I can add a signal an octave lower. Nice big bass bump, or an octave up. So that's got 3 octaves going right now.
And when do you use that mostly?
I mostly leave the upper octave turned down and just a little bit of the, bring the lower octave down a little bit, just if I want to drop a bomb. Nice.
What about for bowing?
Little fatness. For bowing, it's pretty good, especially in conjunction with the chorus pedal, because then it starts sounding like a string section almost, only kind of this weird electronic-y kind of version. So I like the pedal a lot. Unlike some other octave pedals, this will actually go all the way to the low E without breaking up. It's just super low.
Yeah.
Some of them will only go to a C right about here before they start breaking up. This one doesn't break up, which is really nice. And I like Electro Harmonix gear because it's built really, really tough. And I tend to be a little bit hard on things, no matter how I try not to be. So coming out of there, I go into this. This is my newest pedal. It's a Hot Wax. It's actually distortions. I really don't use that with the smart fellers too much, but I don't change pedals. These are all the pedals I use commonly. So it's just distortion, and it's basically 2 pedals in. I know, right? 2 pedals in one. Some of the rock stuff I play, I like to get a little bit of grit going on there. The settings have been tweaked, and like I said, I don't use that for the smart fellers all that much, so I didn't bother setting it. Now this one is the Electro Harmonix bass balls. This is one of my favorites. Which is a lot of fun, but it's really a toy. I use it on one song on Love Potion number 9, but it's kind of a novelty, and it's got this interesting distortion that you can turn on. But I like to leave it on because it sort of emphasizes the effect a little bit more, and it's a toy. And then I've got a Boss limiter enhancer, which is optimized for bass. So basically a kind of compressor in it. I've got it so that it's a very subtle effect, kind of evens tones out, and I do use it with electric bass a little bit more than I do with upright bass. And then a Boss chorus, which is optimized for a bass. It's a bass chorus. So it's
Sounds
nice.
Kind of subtle.
It is a bit subtle. It also might be a matter of what my pickup setup is, but I can give it a little bit more, a little bit more there. I tend to be a little more subtle, and I'm not actually playing my bass.
Yeah, don't you use that mostly for bowing anyway?
I use it a lot for bowing.
It seems more present when you're bowing.
Yeah, it shows up a little bit more just because of the harmonic setup of the signal, and with the POG combined with it, it's a pretty cool sound. Gives it a little motion, a little motion going on.
It helps a lot.
And then the last thing is just an EQ pedal, and I don't really use it for a heck of a lot. Depending on if the room's got a weird boomy frequency, I might try to notch that out a little bit, but it doesn't get used much. Sometimes I'll use it as a boost if I want a solo boost. These pedals are really touchy. A little adjustment makes a big, huge difference. So that's my pedal board, and like I said, I have a few other pedals, but I don't really change them very often. This is kind of the setup that works for everything. I built my pedal board myself, and I built it so it fits in an old suitcase that I bought. So it's all self-contained in a case, which makes it really nice. But So
Yeah,
there's the pedal.
maybe you can hold that up. We can get a better look at it.
Yeah, the pedals,
Yeah, the board.
the board.
Yeah.
Like I said, I made it. Whoops, out of just some plywood.
Yeah.
Painted it black so that
Nice.
you can't see what you're doing. I got to Velcro that down yet. So it's it worked out pretty well. I'd like to get a better power source for it, but you know, one thing at a time. So
Yeah.
then we're coming out of here and going into the amplifier. I've got a Markbass amp. These were actually made for upright players in New York. It's got a what do they call them? Class D amplifiers and a neodymium speaker. So it weighs less than 30 pounds. It's a very light amp. Very flexible in its controls. It actually has a microphone input because some upright players use a little clip-on microphone on their bass. So I can run a microphone in there too, which I'll use for my tuba once in a while. And then one of the coolest things about it, it's got a variable line out line signal. So I can give the Soundman less or more. Makes it a lot nicer than just like a pad button. So really nice amplifier. It's kind of expensive, but I really like it. And one more thing on here that I want to point out is the box underneath. I built this the right size to fit under my amplifier, and it's got a drawer that I keep all of my cables and junk in. So it's really handy if I have a battery go dead on stage. I've got my batteries right here. If I got a cable goes, I got cable. I got my gaffer tape and all sorts of stuff. So that's a very handy gearbox / amp stand. It's nice to get it up off of the ground. So that's my rig, and that's what I typically use for the Smart Feller. So there it is. Okay, so there you go. That's the setup that we use for most Smart Fellers gigs, and it works pretty well for us. And we hope you got something interesting out of all of that.
And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and definitely ring that bell so we can let you know what's coming up next.
It's so exciting. All right, so we're going to leave it there for now. Once again, my name's Alan Parks.
And I'm Mark Larson.
And we are
The Smart Fellers.
See you next time.